Here are 12 beginner tips to help you progress through the game a lot more smoothly. The first and last tip I think are going to help newcomers the most, so make sure you don't miss those. Let's get into it. Number 1, build the workshop room with the workshop floors as fast as possible. You will need so many planks and stone bricks, and getting this room and floor down will make a huge difference. For those who don't know, when you have a closed room, shown by having a roof over it, it will decrease the time it takes per product you make by 25%. And if you get the workshop floors, it will cost 25% less for each product. This is an actual game changer and why it should be the first room. To make this a little easier on yourself, don't worry too much about making any more stone walls than the ones you need for the workshop alone. You only need about a 3x2 room for a fully functional workshop in the early game. Now 2, this one is pretty straightforward for some, but please build multiple of each of the refiners. I used 3 sawmills, 3 grinders, and 6 forges. This just makes the whole crafting part feel a lot better. Those timers really start to stack up as you progress through the game. And if you're in PvP, it's really going to help you progress a lot faster. I think a more ergonomic number would be multiples of 2. That way when you get your material, you can just split the stack and put the perfect amount into each of them. If you're silly like me and have 3, you'll have to do this weird split stack shuffle, and it's not going to be perfect even at its best. So save yourself some trouble and just make 2 or 4, or if you're really feeling it, 8. Tip number 3. This is not exactly a tip, but the game doesn't really tell you this. So in order to move up to the next tier of material, for example, bone to copper, you will need a level 2 of that tier. So for bone, that would be reinforced, or for copper, that would be merciless. So for the reinforced bone, you'll automatically have access to all the upgrades, but for copper and up, you'll need to have the research, which can be obtained either by getting 50 paper and unlocking a random one, or by getting lucky and finding a book while you're out exploring. If you're unlucky enough to have not found a book, you can buy one from the shady merchants located here and here. Number 4, this one is somewhat connected to 3, but unlike other games, you can use any weapon to mine or collect anything. Yes, axes do 25% more to wood, and maces do 25% more to rocks, however, you don't have to use them. If you only have a merciless copper sword, you can use that to get iron. You don't need a merciless mace. If you make a mace, it's going to be more efficient and feel better and overall work better, but it's by no means a requirement. You could go through the whole thing with just one type of weapon. Number 5, don't stress too hard about the layout of your castle. Demoing walls and floors gives you all of your materials back, and you can move most, if not everything, around inside the castle. So don't work yourself up too much about where you put things, because you're gonna have to keep making the castle bigger and bigger and moving stuff around anyway. It's just the nature of the game. The best thing you can do for yourself is to make sure you add a spot for another room in the future, because you end up needing upwards of like 10 different rooms. Don't think that means you need to make a ton of rooms right away. You only have so many tiles that you can build with each castle upgrade, so just worry about what you need directly at the present and maybe something that you know you're gonna need soon, but not too much past that. Tip number 6, don't worry about starting your base too low in the map. Thanks to the release update, now you can use a castle relocation heart to move all of your castle parts to any new spot. This is actually such a blessing. It's so easy. You can just go to the location that you want to move your castle to, build a castle relocation heart, connect it to your current castle via the menu, and then it'll give you access to every wall, floor, machine, chest, and anything else you had in your castle. Then you just place down all of the stuff, and anything you don't place will be auto-scrapped and put into the packed luggage item that you put down. If you end up changing your mind, you can always just cancel the relocation too. I recommend clearing out all of the debris and everything like that so that nothing gets in the way of you placing stuff down. I didn't do this the first time, and it was just this back and forth of clearing stuff, putting more stuff down, clearing more stuff, putting stuff down again. It was a hassle. So just do yourself a favor, clear a bunch out previously. Tip number 7, seriously, don't stress too hard about your decisions. Most everything can be changed and respect with not much effort. I often find people in a sort of paralysis because they can't make a decision, but there's a lot of things about this game that you just don't know yet, and it's going to change how you play and what you want. To accommodate that, they've made it super easy to change just about anything. Tip number 8, if you click on the arrows above your armor, you can change the colors anytime, anywhere. There are, I think, around 30 color palettes to choose from. This is a very good addition to the game, in my opinion. You can really customize your character exactly how you want. And if you want to take take it a step further, there's also a vanity slot. So if you love how a piece of gear looks, but its stats are bad, just put it in the vanity slot and go crazy. Now, tip number 9, keep all of your gear, and I mean all of it, even the reinforced bone stuff. Store it in a chest. You will need it. When you upgrade to a new set of gear, you'll be left with your old gear with really nothing to do with it, but don't break it down. You can give the leftovers to your servants to make them better. This will save you a lot of time, so you don't have to go around making 10 sets every time you get a new level just because you need your servants to have new armor. They don't all need to be maxed out. If you're just sending one to the copper mine, they don't need this ultra level gear. Just give them the stuff that they need to clear the mission and you're fine. Tip number 10. I see a lot of people asking where to get paper, coarse thread, leather, and whetstone, as well as some grave dust. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of all of those, just real quick. Paper you can get from just killing people, mostly bandits, and later you can end up making it with plant stuff, but for making the research table, which is probably what you're looking for, you'll need to go to bandit camps and kill them. This is actually the answer for coarse thread and whetstone as well. You can go to bandit camps, they will drop them. Breaking the boxes can also help too. I find a lot of whetstones in there. If you're struggling, you can look at the map and hover over the locations and it will tell you the most common drops at that place. Not too late into the game, I think around the 8th boss, you'll unlock the ability to make whetstones in your machine, and also another boss allows you to make grave dust. But if you don't have that, the best way to get grave dust is to just go to any of the cemeteries and just kill a bunch of stuff. They'll drop it. Also, pick up those bones. And last but not least, leather. This one's simple. A lot of people actually somehow miss this, but when you kill the frost archer, you'll unlock the tannery and the leather recipe. Just go build that in your base, put the materials in there, and it will turn it into leather for you. Tip number 11, the best way to get greater blood essence, which is gonna be needed to make the throne and the servant coffins, is going to be to beat Tristan. But you're not gonna beat him for a while. He is a wall for a lot of people. He is not a vampire hunter for no reason. So the second best way, which is what we're gonna use, is to loop a bunch of the bosses you've already killed. They have, I'm pretty sure, a guaranteed drop of 1 unsullied heart each time you kill them. So you can just cycle between the wolf, the frost archer, and one of the other low-level bosses like the foreman or the stonebreaker. But 4 unsullied hearts is enough for 1 greater blood essence. So you'll likely not have enough of what you need when you get to that point and will have to farm for them. And this is probably your best way to do that. Now, last but definitely not least, tip number 12, and this is a big one. Keep literally everything, and I mean everything. Everything in the game will have a use at some point, including the grass and the bones. I mean, even the sawdust and stone powder will have a use. I know it sounds silly, but you will need it. Some things are worth more than others, so you'll probably want the more rare and obviously valuable things when you're making room in your inventory, but please don't just throw them away. Put them in a chest, save yourself the trouble of getting them later. If it's an item like a bandit bag that you won't use anymore, just give it to the mimic chest, break it down, and keep what it breaks down for you. I cannot tell you how much keeping everything will help you smoothly progress in the game. To make this a lot easier for yourself, get the specified chest. They're new in this update, but they're called like small material chest or small herb storage. They have so much storage and they're a game changer. They also help you with your organization if that's something you normally struggle with. I am telling you, this is the biggest tip you can follow. Keep literally everything you can. Don't be afraid to drop something if you're out like mining and you're out of room. Don't be afraid to drop a little bit, but don't just throw away like 1,000 grass. Keep it, please keep it. I hope these tips help you out. I know they would have helped me out if I would have seen them when I started playing. Y'all have a good night and happy hunting.